How's it going, everyone? This is Matt Slake, and I have something nice to share today. A playthrough of Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, a 4X turn-based strategy game released by Firaxis in 1999. It received its only expansion the same year titled Alien Crossfire. This game has a sizable and very loyal fan base, myself included. It was the first game in the Civilization series I have played, and it remains among my top favorites ever. Despite its old graphics, this game has aged extremely well thanks to innovative features allowing for dynamic map functionality and a diverse cast of faction leaders. Unfortunately, it is not without its flaws. One constant frustration I always had with the AI is that it never lets the factions build habitation domes. Ever. Their cities stagnate, and my 20 plus cities wreck them with specialized citizens that buff my economy and research to insane levels. To fix this issue, I decided to go into the game script and change a few things around. In the AlphaX file, you can see I modified population limits based on hab complexes. Originally, it was 7 without the facility and 14 with. Now you can grow cities to the ultimate population limit of 127 with enough food and time. I also deleted the habitation dome by modifying the script here. I am also using Yitzy's unofficial patch 3.5D for this game. It provides some bug fixes and creates new mod options that players can use. Just a note, you need to have the base mod 3.5 installed. 3.5B only provides the updated game launcher. Now that the basics are out of the way, let's get this started. Alright, so I'm going to start a new game here. I'm going to customize a random map, and I'm going to choose Standard Planet. It allows for players to have a great amount of map to explore and space to build their civilizations, while not being so large to where your micromanagement gets out of hand. I'm choosing 90 million miles for planetary orbit. Ocean coverage is going to be 50 to 70%, and erosive forces are actually going to be strong. I want to allow for a lot of late game landmass loss due to the melting of the polar ice caps. Native life forms I'm going to set to average, and cloud cover is going to be dense. I want to give the factions as much of an opportunity to grow their cities as possible. Now, this is something I don't often play with. I'm going to set the difficulty level to Transcend. I've often played with Thinker because it puts the player and the AI factions on the same level. However, for this video, I'm going to go with Transcend. I am going to customize a few rules here. I've turned off all the victory conditions because I love to play long games without these restricting how far I can go. I'm going to have the ability to get spoils of war. When you conquer an enemy base, you can actually steal some of their technology provided you don't already have it. Blind research, you cannot specify what kind of research your faction pursues. We're going to have the unity scattering off, no random events, no time warp like to start at the very beginning. Now I have a few factions set up here. First we have Gaia's Stepdaughters. These are a planet-friendly faction. They love their fungus and mineworms. Next we have the Free Drones. These are a powerhouse for production, and they also tend to be a little cranky regarding me when I play. I will be playing as the Spartan Federation. Next we have the Cybernetic Consciousness, a research-based faction. They like to plug computers into their heads. Next we have the University of Planet. Basically, this faction took a university or college on Earth and dug it up and stored it on the spaceship. And then they stuck it inside of a base and plopped it on the surface of this world. Then we have Morgan Industries. These are your entrepreneurs, and they really don't care about how much pollution they pump into the planet. Then we have the Peacekeeping Forces. This is basically the UN in the game, and they try to impose their vision of a united world onto everybody else. Now with this faction here, the Spartan Federation, I'm going to try to play tall. They have a few downsides to them that makes this a little difficult sometimes. Even though their prototypes are free and you do get moral bonuses, you don't have very many opportunities to get ahead in research and population growth if you want to play tall. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. Oftentimes I've had to keep my head low until I can put my bases in a place where they can really bring in the credits, the research, and the production.
Superior training and superior weaponry
I'm going to leave everything
together,
at their default for this game, and we're going to get started right away. Here we go. We have Sparta Command here. I've started with a scout rover and a colony pod. And it looks like I am on a fairly decent sized island here. I got a little bit of fungus around my base, so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Those can spawn the mine worms, and at early game, they can really delay the development of your faction. Now with my colony pod here, I'm going to try to get this one in a place where it will have a lot of room to grow while not interfering with Sparta Command. In this case, I think I'm going to focus on that little bit of land right there. Now with the rover here, I'm going to claim this resource pod at the top here.
Pod recovered.
Alright, this is nice. I have another Unity rover. That will really allow me to get this island explored and protect my bases and units from mineworms should they appear. I'll get them back into the base. Before I end this turn, I'm going to go in here and see what's going on. Right now I have a scout patrol being produced. That is actually very good. You need to have at least one unit defending every city. And in the beginning of the game, it doesn't need to be a very advanced unit, because mineworm attacks bypass all weapons and shields and are only dependent on the morale of your units. So I'm going to leave that right there, and we're going to end the turn. Now, this is where your research priorities are set. Because I don't have the ability to choose which research that my faction pursues, this option allows me to set the focus. So I like to have all of them selected, a very balanced approach to faction research. All right, now we have our next turn, and I'm going to set this rover here to get the next resource pod. Going to move the colony pod there. That is actually not good. That will actually delay a lot of my development here for my faction. So I'm going to bring the rover down here. I'm going to try to get that taken care of.
Production complete.
At the beginning of the game, the command center for the Spartan Federation is not needed, so I'm going to have stockpile energy. Let me go back here and bring that up. So damaged ground units heal quickly, and they also receive morale upgrades. Unfortunately, this also costs maintenance, and because it takes a long time to build, I'm going to hold that off for now. Going to get a little bit of info on the square here. It's got very little bit of elevation, but it also has the xenofungus on it. That means there's a chance that this resource pod here has been consumed by a mineworm. Hopefully that's not the case. Let's find out.
Data pod recovered.
Alright, this is good. Sort of. I have the comm link for Brother Lau, the Peacekeepers. Soon as we got that taken care of there, I'm going to see what he says. Let me go ahead and move my colony pod over. I'm going to have him stay. And let's see what this resource pod gives us.
Pod recovered.
Nice little bunch of energy credits. Now let's see what Lau has to say. Oh wow, he's obstinate. Because I'm one of the more militant factions in the game, Brother Lau tends to be a little more suspicious of my motives. So, got the mandatory greeting out of the way. UN Charter for this mission. I am not really under the command of the UN Charter. Thanks. So, despite not giving him what he wants, he still wants to sign a treaty. So, I am going to allow that. The less opportunity I have to go to war, the better. Seems to be a little happy about that, and we're going to leave it at that, and I'm going to say goodbye. Alright, let's get the last bit of land here explored. Alright, it looks like I can actually build a base right there, so that's what I'm going to try to do. Actually, I'm going to change the production of this base to a colony pod. The development of my faction has been delayed here because that little bit of land turned out to have some xenofungus on it, and getting your second base up and going is very crucial to properly growing your faction. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that done in a decent amount of time, so I'm changing Sparta Command production to another colony pod. Hopefully that'll make up for the lost time. I'm going to get my units here so I can explore the rest of the some tiny continent. Alright, I'm going to have this one go straight into the fungus. Has opportunity for an attack, but it also cuts down the time of going around. Another resource pod.
Mineral resources.
And mineral resources. That is actually not too bad. I think I'll put my new base right here first. And once again, another resource pod. And as you can see here, this is my faction territory border. Because it is so extended from my base, that pretty much tells me that there is a very good chance that there are no other factions on this island, which is very good. I have this entire island to myself, which means that we'll probably have 1 or 2 factions on this landmass here, and probably a few more on the other ones. We may have one there, and we may have one there as well. Go ahead and get that resource pod.
Recovered.
And another Unity rover. This is turning out to be a very nice little bonus here. So we're going to have him continue along the path.
Turn complete.
Now the xenofungus really slows your units down. And even though I decide not to go around, it's still often sometimes faster going this way. And this is really awesome. I'll be telling you guys about it a little bit more in just a few seconds. Alright, I wanted him a little bit more that way.
Turn complete.
Planet's atmosphere, though a gasping death to humans and most animals, is paradise for Earth.
We're not going to see... Actually, we are going to see. I'm going to show you some of the new units I can build right now. And this is very important for improving your bases. Any of you who are familiar with the Civilization series, these are your workers. However, in this game, they are called formers. They build farms, mines, and they remove the pesky little xenofungus here. So we're going to apply that one. We're going to confirm that our research priorities have stayed the same. And we have had our first research breakthrough. And as you can see here, we had it in the year 2108. However, the consciousness has made a discovery 4 years before us. So right now our research is suffering. And a lot of that is because we haven't had our second base set up. Alright, now this little guy here, let me see if I can get some info on him. That is a spore launcher. It's an artillery class of native planetary life forms. So they lob balls of goo at my units. So we're going to go ahead and attack this guy. My units have a very good base morale compared to other factions, so they survive better against native life forms. Alright, that worked out very nicely. And I'm going to go a little bit farther this way. However, the fungus is slowing down my unit again. Alright, once again I want to try to get my base right here. So we're going to set the movement. And I'm going to actually have these units go in a little bit different direction here. There we go. And another resource pod.
Indigenous life form.
And that one was infested with life forms. That was what I was talking about before. They were going to pretty much attack my unit right away.
Complete.
Fortunately, my unit was well trained, so it survived nicely. Let's see what this little bit of land has. Nice and safe. Alright, now this is a nice little place. However, I may not be able to build a city there. Let's get some info on that square. Oftentimes you can't build cities on rocky ground. Apparently that makes it a little difficult to drill in and set the foundation. However, these monoliths are very beneficial for providing resources to your city. Now let's go ahead and get the second base going here. I've used up too much time on that. We're going to set up Fort Liberty. As you can see here, the game keeps track of which factions accomplish which major milestones first. So right now I've had my base built in 2109. However, the consciousness again has bypassed me there and set up their first base 5 years earlier. Anyway, we're going to have them build a scout patrol again. They get built pretty quickly here because your new bases get bonus minerals. So we're going to leave that.
Turn complete. Production complete.
Now usually it's a good idea to get your formers going right away. And in this case we're going to have that happen. If I had a nutrient bonus high enough, I would have gotten a colony pod. However, the colony pod will finish well before my city can grow to another population level. So I'm going to have the formers construct right now. And this colony pod is still taking a long time to build, so I'm going to actually hurry that up a little bit. I'm going to give it 50 energy credits. And now I only got 3 turns left, and so that'll still finish after my city grows. I'm going to have him stay put. Rocky ground also slows down my fast units, so he was only able to move 1 space. Let's get this guy going here, explore a little bit of land that way. And I'm actually going to get this rover up to a base so it can heal. Also, another nifty little feature, if you have your units on rivers, they act like roads, and so you can move faster. This resource pod may be a little bit dangerous, so I'm going to have him wait. I'm going to explore a little bit to the right here.
Complete.
The monolith is silent. Go figure.
Production complete.
Alright, we're going to have 10 turns before the city grows again. That extra population that showed up was used to create the colony pod. So now I'm going to have the formers start. And the formers here are coming along nicely. Now that little space before right here where I originally wanted to build a new city, I'm going to go ahead and have this colony pod go there. We're just going to have it auto move. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Alpha Centauri, the auto move is just a left click and drag to the square you want to go. So example here, left click, drag to Fort Liberty. And now we're going to check out this resource pod. And that one was infested as well. Now this guy can still move, so I'm going to go ahead and have him attack. That went very well. And if you attack a native life form, you actually get an installment of credits depending on the development of that life form. So that one gave us 10 energy credits, so that helps a little bit out. Only more fungus there.
Turn complete.
I'm going to finish this turn.
Resources exist to be consumed, and consumed they will be.
All right.
If not by this
Industrial base
then
gives
by
us a
some
couple
future.
of nifty
By
little
what
bonuses
right
here.
does this
We
forgotten
can build a
future
merchant
seek to
exchange,
deny
which
us our
is
birthright?
a special
None, I
project.
say.
And we can
Let us take
also
what is ours
get
without
synth metal
ill.
armor, which protects
CEO
units from
Mabudu
conventional
K. Morgan,
weapons.
The ethics of greed.
So as shown here, the synth metal armor is pretty much the basic armor for any unit type. And as you can also see here, there are lots of different levels of armor that we can get. Some of them look actually really cool here. So we're going to let that unit be. And we have another mindworm. And unfortunately, colony pods are helpless against mindworms, so we're going to run. Also, unfortunately, this unit here is damaged, so he's going to have to wait until he can heal up.
Indigenous life form.
And another mindworm in the same square. Now you're going to have to wait to heal up a little bit.
Complete.
Units do heal outside of their bases, but they don't heal 100%. To get your units to heal all the way, you need a special project for that. So your units do gain experience in combat, and morale for this unit here is now hardened. So he is more effective against mindworms. We have a little interlude from the Book of Planets, so let's go ahead and read that one. Walking alone through the corridors of Sparta Command, you skim the security reports on recent attacks by the horrific native mindworms. Giant worms or boils of these Model 10 cubic meter nightmares have wiggled out of the fungal beds of late, and now threaten to overwhelm base perimeters in several sectors. Victims are paralyzed by psi-induced terror, and then experience an unimaginably excruciating death as the worms burrow into the brain to implant their ravenous larvae. Only the most disciplined security guards can overcome their fear long enough to trigger the flame guns, which keep the worms at bay. Clearly, you will have to tend carefully to the morale of the troops. Furthermore, since terror and surprise increase human casualties dramatically in these encounters, it will be important to strike first when mindworm boils are detected. You consider ordering some former detachments to construct sensors, vulnerable bases, to aid in such detection efforts. Another cool thing that really brings some depth to the game is the meta story. The overarching story of Alpha Centauri. The planet is literally alive. It is covered in the xenofungus, and the xenofungus actually has a vast neural network by which they can communicate with each other and counter the faction players. So now that that little mind worm unit has been taken care of, we're going to go ahead and try to set that base up top here. And he's healed enough, so I'm going to go ahead and have him escort the colony pod. This unit has been bogged down a lot by the xenofungus, but he finally has a chance to get out of that and gain some speed. So let's see what this little peninsula's got. Safe little bit of land, probably put a base right around there and claim the mineral deposit. And this guy is in the yellow health-wise, so I'm going to have him wait.
Complete.
They only heal up to 80%. This one's still 20% damage. To get 100% health, I gotta get him back to a base. This unit is hardened, done very well against the mindworm, so we're gonna have him continue. Gonna have him catch up to the colony pod. Get the colony pod up there.
Complete.
Very good.
Production complete.
Finally got some formers finished. And now there are no suitable base facilities to build yet. So I'm just going to have another colony pod in the works. Fortunately, I actually have to wait a few turns. So I'm going to have this base do something useful in the meantime. Get me more energy credits. So this former, we want to have this former terraform the land around the base. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to terraform after right clicking on the unit. Demonstrate that again. So right click, terraform, and I'm going to have it auto-improve home base. So now he's going to use an algorithm to determine which squares need what improvements in the squares that the base accesses. We're going to try to get this guy around the xenofungus mass here. It's going to take a little bit of work to actually be able to get my bases to work the tiles that these monoliths are on. Let's see if we can finally get this unit onto that xenofungus square.
Turn complete.
And that is a fungal tower. That is actually a newer addition to Alpha Centauri that came out with the Alien Crossfire expansion pack. Unfortunately, I don't have enough units to take that thing out just yet. So this bit of land here is going to remain inaccessible to my faction for a little while. That also explains why there were several mindworms in that square. Again, using the benefits of traveling on rivers, get a little bit of space between my units and that plant. I'm going to go ahead and set up the base. It's going to be Hawk of Chiron. And again, we're going to have the basic guardian unit for our city, Scout Patrol. And we're going to have them wait while that finishes up.
Complete.
Let's check the base here. 12 turns. I could finish that in 11, so we're still going to wait another turn or so.
Production complete.
So we've got the Scout Patrol built. We're going to go straight for formers. And now that I have most of the landmass discovered, I'm going to get my Unity rovers, or in this case the Scout rover, back to my bases to protect them.
Indigenous life forms.
Oh, I actually meant to go on that square there, but I accidentally had them go this way. And that was a good thing too, because that little mindworm would have ambushed me. Now I can attack it. Now that was a little more painful than normal, so I'm going to have to get that rover back to a base to get repaired. We have the Scout Patrol built here, so we're going to have him stay put. We're actually going to have that one stay put as well. I'm going to try to keep a rover at every single one of my bases and then escort the new colony pods when they are built. So I'm going to have them wait.
Turn complete.
And another feature of the unit health, this unit, since it is so damaged, can only move one square a turn instead of two, like that one. Going to have them wait a little while.
Complete.
All right, now we're on the new turn, and we are going to begin construction on the colony pod. Looks like that since the farm here was built, it's providing extra nutrients to the base, so it is growing quicker. So that is a good thing there. That colony pod will not have that base abandon itself. If you try to construct a colony pod while the base is at population level 1, you actually do have the option of either delaying the production of the colony pod or abandoning the base. So we're going to have them hold for a little bit. That one is going to get to home base as quickly as possible.
Production complete.
Alright, so we finally have the formers built at Sparta Command, which is going to be important for this base's development. All that xenofungus there is going to prevent resources being gathered effectively until we can get that cleared out. In this case, I don't have good base facilities available to build, so we're just going to have this one stockpile energy for a little while. And growth is going to be very low because the nutrients here, the squares, have not been improved. Let's see if I can get that one right there. No, that's still... So there's a reason why I get 3 nutrients on this square instead of this square. There is xenofungus on it, so that prevents you from gathering all the resources you can. In order to get the 3 nutrients on this square, we're going to have to get a unit to clear that out. I'm going to reset that one right there. And so now growth will happen in 11 turns. All right. Again, terraform, auto-improve home base. Now you can Control-Shift-A as a shortcut, but I'm doing it this way.
Turn complete.
And actually, that resource pod is probably going to cause more trouble later on if we don't take care of it now. So I'm going to get the rover over there. I'm going to have him heal up.
Turn complete.
And finish the turn. Faction dominance, I am the weakest faction. And as I explained before, a lot of that derives from my inability to build a base early on in the game. I tried to go to this square, but that was inaccessible because of the xenofungus. And it took a long time to get my colony pod back down over here. So that is why I am pushing hard for colony pods. As soon as the formers in this base are finished, I will have it build a colony pod. And since it seems to have a decent rate of growth, that will probably be one of its main focuses for a little while.
Scientific theories are judged by the coherence
All right.
they lend to our natural
So we're going to go into the unit design screen. This is the first weapon beyond your standard handgun, the laser. I'm not sure exactly why, maybe some kind of flaw in the game program itself, but this is the weapon of choice for units that defend your base. Any other weapon makes your units very expensive, so the laser squad here is pretty much one of your first effective combat units. It's going to be hands down far superior to a standard scout infantry, so we're going to apply that. And also the recon rover here is going to get the laser weapon. You normally do not put shields on your recon rovers. They really up the cost. These units are effective for flanking and quick attack. They aren't very good for defense. So we're going to leave the armor off. We're going to apply that. Let's see if we can go ahead and get that resource pod.
Turn complete.
And now that is awesome. Another monolith. So let's see what we can get here. I'm going to have this base set population right there. And as you can see, monoliths provide a very good bonus to the resource gathering of your base. So as you can see here, originally we were at 2 nutrients and 1 mineral. Now we get 2 nutrients, 2 mineral, and 2 energy. Now the base square here, you can see that it is only 2, 1, 2. That will improve once I get a recycling tank set up, but I have not researched that yet, so I can't build it right now. Now on the city screen here, we have the energy allocation breakdown. Economy is 50% of all energy, labs 50%, and psych 0%. Now psych is like happiness for modern civilization building games, whether or not it's the Civilization series or another one. Psych pretty much keeps your population happy, and right now I have no allocation percentage to that at all. Energy bonus is actually very decent here. We're at 4 energy, and labs has been upped to 2. Without that bonus from the monolith, my economy was at 2 and my labs were at 1, so this is very good for my base. I'm going to end that turn, and I'm actually going to go ahead and have my rover explore that little piece of land right there.
Turn complete.
Alright, since it moved right away into that fungus, I can tell that this is a very fertile piece of land. I'm going to be able to get a nice little farm on that one to support the cities. And let's see here, still got 6 turns until that colony pod is built. Like with all civilization games or other empire building games that rely on food to grow your population, the requirements for each population level get higher as your cities get bigger. So whereas before it took only a few turns to grow my population, now it's going to take 30. I'm going to get this unit back to Sparta Command.
Turn complete.
Not going to do anything to the monolith. If you access the monolith too many times, they disappear. So I'm actually going to go ahead into my menu here and go to Preferences. There was a preference here that allowed units to automatically explore monoliths. Always investigate monoliths. That's in Automation Preferences right here. I'm going to turn that off because I don't want to have too many units to accidentally explore the monolith and trample the ancient structure. So we're going to go ahead and end this turn. Formers are almost done. That is good, and the city is about to grow. So we're going to have this rover wait at Sparta Command.
Turn complete.
And now this city is at level 2.
Turn complete. Production complete.
Alright, we've got the former built, and now we are going to have this city build colony pods.
Turn complete. Turn complete. Production complete.
So Fort Liberty has built the colony pod there. 8 turns until growth, and it will build a colony pod in 15 turns. So I'm going to leave it like that. I need to get my cities going really quick now. I'm still one of the weakest factions in the game. So let's see. We got another mineral deposit right here. So I'm going to park this guy right there. Just to make sure I didn't accidentally click on anything else. One more time. And we're going to have the Unity rover protect it. I'm going to have him stay right there for a little bit longer.
Complete.
I'm going to have that one wait.
Turn complete.
And now the colony pod is with the Unity rover and protected.
Turn complete. Enemy project initiated.
Alright, the Human Genome Project. This is a very important project to get if you want to build tall. And that's actually the strategy I want to use for this game. And with the Spartans, it is a little more difficult than other factions, so it's a double bit of challenge for me.
Into the challenge of tomorrow.
But the network node is very important. That increases the research at your base so you get technology faster. And that is going to be very important for keeping up to speed on the technology rate of other players. I cannot build a Human Genome Project, so it'll probably turn out that I will not have an opportunity to complete it. So I'm going to go ahead and build a network node at Sparta Command. Now I'm going to wait a few turns before I hurry that project along. It appears that often in a game, if you try to hurry a facility right when you start its construction, the energy cost is actually higher than if you wait a few turns. It's weird. We're going to go ahead and build the base here. That will be a militia station. And again, we'll just have a regular scout patrol protect it. I don't have any advanced armies threatening my city, so I only need to protect against the mine worms. We'll have him wait.
Turn complete. Production complete.
Alright, so militia station built. The scout patrol right away. We're going to go with formers. And again, I have Hawk of Chiron here building a colony pod. And again, Fort Liberty is building its second colony pod. And that will not interfere with the growth of the base. We'll have that one hold. And this fungal tower here has actually grown. So that means it's going to be harder to take out with my units. Hopefully by then I'll have enough firepower to eliminate it and then colonize this bit of land right here.
Enemy project initiated.
Alright, looks like the Gaians are going to begin construction of the weather paradigm. I do have the ability to construct it. However, the Spartans have an industry penalty for their faction. So even though they do not have to pay extra to build prototype units, their bases suffer -1 minerals. So instead of a 2-2-2, I have a 2-1-2. So that puts me at a bit of a disadvantage, and that is why having a monolith next to Sparta Command is so beneficial for this base. Now, it has been 1 turn since construction of the network node began. 1 or 2 turns. So I'm going to hurry it along, and I can't pay it all off right now, so I'm going to make a partial payment. I found that sometimes, even though my energy credits income is very high, the game actually goes into the negative with energy credit production as it cycles through the bases. So I'm going to leave that at 100. I'm going to see how that works there. Now that really helped the network node construction along. It went from 20 turns to 14 turns, so that is nice. I have a little bit of energy credits left in reserve so that if the energy dips below 0, I will not lose base facilities to pay the deficit. Now that Militia Station has its scout patrol guarding it, I'm going to actually return this one back to Fort Liberty to protect the colony
Turn
pod.
complete. Turn
Going to
complete.
have that wait a little bit more.
Turn complete. Turn complete.
Sometimes when you have your bases functioning well enough, you can quickly cycle through a few turns until something significant happens. Going to have 2 turns until the formers on that one are done. In 2 turns, the colony pod will be finished. The network node has got 10 turns left. We have a little bit more energy, but I'm not going to spend that right now. Hog of Chiron is going to have the colony pod finished really soon. So I'm going to have that one
Turn
wait.
complete.
Finish the
Enemy
turn.
project initiated.
And the consciousness, they've started construction of the weather paradigm as well.
Production complete.
So the reason why the colony pod construction here is slow is because the base is spending minerals supporting 3 units. Generally, each unit costs 1 mineral to support. I'm going to leave the construction with the colony pod. But when you go into the society editing here in social engineering, you can see that so each base supports 2 units for free. That is right down here. That was highlighted white. So that means my base, Hawk of Chiron, is supporting 1 unit and is supporting 2 units free here. And also here you can see industry is at -1. Mineral costs are increased by 10%. So I was mistaken there. I don't have -1 mineral per base. Mineral costs are increased by 10%, so everything is more expensive. But when you get later on in the game and your mineral capacity and your base is increased, that is not so much of an issue, but it is right now. If you play the Spartan faction, early on you want to spend a few energy credits to get your bases going a little bit quicker. Now my net income is 3 energy a turn, and every technology level takes 10 turns to complete. So right now I'm a little slow on that. In here I have my energy credit allocation. Economy is at 50, labs at 50. In this case, we want to have a little bit for psych. So I'm going to decrease economy by 50%. Psych is going to be at 10%. Unfortunately, the difference is small enough to where it doesn't make where it does not negatively impact my net income at the moment. So we're going to have that one wait. We're going to activate the Unity rover, and we're going to move the colony pod first. We're going to have that one wait for the colony pod.
Complete. Production complete.
And we have our second colony pod constructed here. Now this base grows very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and have it pause colony pod production and start working on network node. And once that extra population grows, they'll probably get the mining facility there and bring in more credits.
Production complete.
Militia Station has finished the formers. So we're going to go ahead and have it build a colony pod. Let's see, we'll have the colony pod here move. And since that colony pod can't move anymore for this turn, I'll have the rover wait. Alright, now time to figure out where to have another base constructed. I'm thinking right here, either this square or that square. Both will provide access to this little body of water here, so I can build improvements with my sea formers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to have my colony pod head down to this area here. And I'm going to utilize the roads to have effective travel. I'm going to have the rover stick with the colony pod there and pause. And then terraform and then auto-improve home base.
Turn complete.
So that's pretty much how you get a faction like Sparta off the ground. Despite some setbacks, we're seeing some pretty good progress here. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.